Hello, you are watching Shalom World News. I'm David Kerr from Lansing in Michigan, and these are your latest news headlines from around the world. There's been an escalation of violence in the Sudanese capital city of Khartoum and in the western Darfur region following a breakdown of peace negotiations in Saudi Arabia last week. Both the Sudanese army and the rival paramilitary force, the Rapid Support Forces, have been battling for control of the African state since April. Media reports say that clouds of smoke could be seen over Khartoum on Sunday after the truce between both sides expired hours earlier, with the south of the city being a particular locus for aerial bombardment. There are also claims of rampant looting. Meanwhile, reports from Darfur suggest that at least 40 people were killed in recent days in the town of Khartoum. A record number of abortions were performed in Scotland last year, as according to new figures released by the body responsible for collating such data, Public Health Scotland. They say that the number of abortions in Scotland went up from 13,937 in 2021 to 16,596 in 2022. That's a 20% increase over 1 year. The figures also show an 84% increase in the number of abortions where the baby in the womb was diagnosed with Down syndrome. That number went up from 32 in 2021 to 59 in 2022. It's thought that rise is connected to the introduction of non-invasive prenatal testing by National Health Service in Scotland. The news has been met with dismay by many disability rights campaigners, as well as pro-life groups and the Catholic Church. The director of the Church's parliamentary office, Anthony Horan, said every abortion is a tragedy and that the Scottish Government should now focus on promoting human dignity. More than 7 in every 10 US adults believe there are only two genders, male and female. That's according to a new survey carried out by the polling company Rasmussen. The new figures come in the wake of a public backlash against companies promoting a so-called transgender agenda, including the retail store Target and Brewers Anheuser-Busch. The Rasmussen survey also shows that 59% of Americans favour bans on hormone therapy for children who are confused about their gender, while 62% believe surgical interventions should also be outlawed. A penitential service has been held in St. Peter's Basilica in Rome after a naked anti-war protester desecrated the papal altar last week. The penitential liturgy took place on Saturday and was presided over by Cardinal Gambetti, who is the archpriest in charge of the basilica. It was on Thursday of last week that a Polish man approached the high altar and stripped down before jumping on the marble mensa of the altar with the words "Save the Children of Ukraine" written on his back with marker. The man was quickly arrested and handed over to Italian police. It's been announced that Pope Francis is to visit Mongolia. The papal visit will take place from August the 31st to September the 4th this year. The Vatican say it follows invitations from both the Mongolian state and church. The apostolic visit will be the Pope's 43rd since becoming Pope in 2013. In response to the news, Cardinal Giorgio Marengo, who is the apostolic prefect of the Mongolian capital city of Ulaanbaatar, said that the apostolic visit will instill a deep joy among the faithful of the Asian nation. Meanwhile, Pope Francis has also offered prayers for all those killed in last week's deadly train accident in India. Officials in the eastern Indian state of Orissa say preliminary investigations point to an error in the electronic signalling system as being the most likely cause of the crash, which killed at least 275 people and left more than 1,200 injured. In a telegram to the papal nuncio in Italy, Archbishop Leopoldo Girelli, Pope Francis assured all those affected of his closeness and his prayers for the dead and the injured. The United States is pledging to support human rights and fundamental liberties in China. That's the message from the US Secretary of State Antony Blinken, delivered upon the 34th anniversary of the Tiananmen Square massacre in Beijing on June the 4th. It was on that day back in 1989 that the Chinese People's Liberation Army crushed student protest in the Chinese capital, killing hundreds in the process. Secretary of State Blinken says that the bravery of those victims will never be forgotten and will continue to inspire pro-democracy advocates around the world. The owner of Twitter, Elon Musk, has shown his support for a Vermont family who suffered after opposing biological males using girls' locker rooms. In a tweet, Mr. Musk said it was unjust that schoolgirl Blake Allen was punished by the local school district for saying that she was uncomfortable undressing in a girl's locker room beside a biological male who claimed to be female. Blake's dad, Travis, also lost his job for speaking out in support of his daughter. The Allen family subsequently sued the local school system and won their case, including compensation of $125,000 for losses and legal costs. Members of religious communities across Spain have expressed solidarity with the suffering church in Nicaragua. In a statement, the Conference of Men and Women Religious highlighted the case of Bishop Rolando Alvarez of Matagalpa Diocese in Nicaragua, who is currently in prison after publicly opposing the left-wing dictatorship of President Daniel Ortega. The president of the Conference of Religious, Fray Jesus Diaz Sarriego, also expressed concern over the expulsion of religious communities from Nicaragua by the Ortega regime. Tens of thousands of Colombians took to the streets across various cities on June the 3rd to give public witness to the sanctity of human life. The country's 17th annual March for Life took place in almost 70 cities across Colombia. To the forefront of this year's march were demands for the country's constitutional court to repeal a February 22 ruling that liberalised abortion in the Latin American nation. A Nigerian priest kept captive by an armed gang for 2 days has now been released. Father Stanislaus Mabamara of the Nanawe Catholic Diocese in southern Nigeria was kidnapped on Friday evening by gunmen. His diocese, however, has now confirmed that Father Mabamara was released on Sunday night. His present health or the circumstances of his release are not yet known. Well, that's your latest news headlines for now. Do join us for more tomorrow. You can also join us at swnews.org for news updates. Shalom.